do my, if I could briefly do a spiel before
Miss Rios.
before Laura comes up. So you can find the veterans budget on page D20. The budget's going up about $120,000 from 2017 to 2018, primarily because of the addition of 2 counselor positions.
Right.
The counselor 1 and the counselor 2, and Laura can speak more directly to that. You'll also see quite a large increase in the property tax millage, or property tax revenue. That's because the millage went from .04 mils to .069 mils,
Right.
effective with this December's levy, which funds the 2018 budget.
Okay.
So that's primarily what's going on there. You'll see a very large item. The largest line item in the operating side is in supplies and services. It's about $275,000. There's 2 items in that line item there are 2 items within that category that total $235,000. There's $115,000 for burial allowance and $120,000 for we call special needs, but it's assistance for veterans when they come in for assistance with their utilities or purchasing an appliance of some kind or some other kind of assistance. Again,
Right.
I'll have Laura come up and explain her budget in more detail.
All right, thank you, Steve. Laura?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. So my budget's looking a little bit different for next year because we got the millage. So it goes into effect December. So next year I'll have the increase. So as far as everything pretty much stays the same, except that we'll have more money going into a few more categories. More funding for operations, more funding hopefully for employees, and we'll start there. So my projected plan was to work on 6 projects, and we'll start implementing those 6 projects next year, which is hiring 2 new people.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Drollet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for your budget presentation. You mentioned that the changes we'll see as a result of the increase in the millage will be some new employees and some new operations. What will veterans see? I mean, how will their service be better? I mean, we'll have more employees, we'll have bigger operations, but what will that mean to the typical veteran who uses the services? What's going to improve in their lives?
Good question. So what I'm doing right now is we support the boot camp, we support Veterans Treatment Court, we support with transportation to the VA Medical Center. So right now that's what we do, but we can support better the Veterans Boot Camp. So right now there's no case management on the unemployed veterans afterwards. There's a little, but not a lot, because everybody's volunteering to do a boot camp once a month. And that's those are the Michigan Works employees, and they help the veterans for a 1 whole week program. And then when it's done, they now have to catch up with their other job, with their Michigan Works job. So what our goal is to take, one of the new positions is going to be to case manage the unemployed veterans. So that's going to be, I see a better case management, where more intense case management, where if it's taking somebody 3 or 4 weeks to get a job after the boot camp, hopefully we can narrow that down even better. And the success rate is like 78% right now, within 3 weeks after the boot camp.
So is the boot camp oriented toward job skills primarily?
It is. It is. It's at Michigan Works. It is getting them ready for employment.
Okay.
It is. They go over like 15 to 20 items during that week. So it's not only resumes, it's interviewing, it's everything.
So the primary benefit from the increased millage will be unemployed veterans will have.
That's just one.
Okay.
That's
one
just
of them.
one.
All right.
We had
those are the
6.
others.
We have 6.
All right. What are the other benefits that they'll
Okay,
actually
so
see?
that was one of our projects that we were going to do. So better support the Veterans Treatment Court. So right now, I am going over to the one of our courts, because we have two, and I'm going over there every single week to help case manage the participants in the Veterans Treatment Court. I don't have somebody going over to the afternoon session with Judge Swatowski, because that's at the same time as our trust fund, and I have conflicting meetings. So I can't be there at the same time. So by hiring another person, we'll have another service officer that can also case manage the veterans at the Veterans Treatment Court, the other court. So that's another project.
What do they get out of the Veterans Treatment Court?
What do they get out of it?
What benefit comes out of it?
Let's see, readjustment. That's what they get. So the veterans that go through Veterans Treatment Court are usually somebody who got pulled over for a DUI, it's usually they're in the boot camp because either a drug conviction or a alcohol conviction, but they were arrested for something. So instead of going to jail and just paying a fine and coming back the next year, it's PTSD treatment. It's getting them, it's a 2-year program to get them their treatment that they desperately need so we don't see them back, whether it's the Vietnam vets or the younger vets.
And currently, we're not able to provide that treatment at an adequate level?
Oh, no, we do the best we can. No, the veteran treatment courts have both been working, and they've been going on since, I think, 2011 here. But I am now involved with the one in Clinton Township with Judge Fuca. I'm basically like, I don't go to the other court full time. Mm-hmm. They meet every single week, so I'm more on standby.
I guess I'm wondering, I realize you'll be able to do more or have more resources to do more, because I'm hoping to find out how that translates to something, so they're going to get into a program more quickly. I mean, if we have been keeping up with the need, what benefit then would be having more case managers? If we haven't been, how will our ability to keep other needs translate to in their lives?
Well, here's another example. Okay, we have 54,000 veterans in our county, and we see about 650 people a month, but that's based on how many people I have in my office that are trained to take appointments. So the more people I have that are trained to take appointments, the more people we can have come through our office. So obviously we don't see 54,000 people a year, because not everybody needs to be seen once they get their disability, once they're okay and they don't need an increase. But it's doing these outreaches, going to these speaking engagements, and tracking all the stuff that we do there. But the more people we have in our office, the more veterans we can reach, because ultimately my goal is to turn over or meet every single veteran in our county.
Have we had to turn away people because we can't have meetings with them under our current?
No, we don't turn away people ever.
We just haven't outreached as much.
We just, let's say when a few years ago, they could have had like a month wait for an appointment. Okay. So then we came up with a solution where we'll have a walk-in day. So we have one location that has 2 walk-in days now. So if somebody needs to be seen right away because they have to be seen, then they can come to our walk-in location. So we're doing the best we can, but we can always do better with more, and we can reach more people.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to, I'd like to be able to explain to people, they say, we increased the funding for veterans. I'd like to be able to explain tangibly that means shorter wait times or a better level of service, a newer level of service. It sounds like that's the things you're trying to do. I just want to make sure it's not that we just hired more people or something. I mean, I want to see how it translates to people on the ground.
Okay, so it translates into dollars. So my quarterly paper that I give you guys quarterly, which isn't part of this, I track the money that the veterans get awarded from their VA disability claim. I track how much money that is coming back into our county. So that's one way we can track us doing our good job. By
will they get
them
more
receiving
money, though?
Money.
Will they get more money in the disability checks or anything like that?
Well, if they do the claim themselves, it has been proven that by having a service officer help them with the claim, which we're free of charge, we do not charge them anything, they will usually get more money, and they usually can avoid an appeal, which takes 5 to 10 years.
Okay, that could be very helpful. Is there a way that we can track that? So next year we can say, last year this was the number of people who had to appeal, and this year the appeal rate went down 20%, or the success rate went up as a result of this, and here's how much it went up?
Tracking appeals. Until the VA changes how they track appeals, I don't know how I'm going to track appeals. I can track, right now what I track on the quarterly sheet is the people who walk in our door, which are, we track what they're there for, whether it's a claim, whether it's burials, what it's for emergent need requests, which is our grants. And we track the money that they awarded.
You know then that they are the, fewer appeals if we don't have anyone tracking appeals.
Well, I know I still have a caseload. I still see veterans. I was just at the VA this morning in front of a judge.
Right, but you
for
know,
the appeal, so.
you noted that
Yes. And
the
it
more,
takes 5
the more
years to get to the
involvement with
judge.
a caseworker has, the more likely there is to be, less likely there is to be appeal, and the more likely they are to have success in accessing what they're entitled to.
Correct.
I guess it would be great to be able to quantify that at the end of a year, saying, all right, we increased the millage by X, and the result of which was the success rate for applying for services went up by X%, or or there's a fewer number of appeals, or something that we can say that that it's kind of easy to measure the benefit to the end
Sure.
beneficiary. The
I will
veterans.
try to, I'll have to think that one through to see if I can track appeals, or is there going to be a way to track appeals? So right now, what I'm tracking on my metrics, that I believe I can control. Okay, there's certain things I can't control, and these are the things that I feel I can possibly control. The number of claims that are fully developed, that's the number of claims we submit every year. Number of veterans contacted, that's people who walk in our doorstep. Outreach presentations to groups. So the more outreaches equals more people I can come in contact with. Number of veterans per VSO. This is not a number. The VA comes out with that, and that's on the gross distributions of funds that they publish at the end of May every year for the previous fiscal year. So they basically come out with, this is how many veterans we have, and this is how much money we send to Macomb County. So I basically divide that by how many service officers we have and kind of compare the counties that are next to us. So basically, it's kind of like caseload, but it's not caseload.
Okay. I mean, I realize that being able to outreach to more veterans could potentially have benefits. But if we just outreach to veterans and they don't get anything more, and we just gave them a brochure and shook their hand, I mean, it would be nice to know that actual benefits hitting the veterans. Outreach is I would imagine, a step to that end result. And it would be great to be able to know what that end result was. So we outreach to more veterans. So what? Did they get more services? Did they have better, shorter wait times for a service? Those are the things that I think matter most. And it'd be great if we could track those and be able to explain to the citizens of Macomb County, you're paying more for veteran services, but here's how the veterans are benefiting.
I can track wait time for my office.
That would be great.
That's something I
if
can
we could
track.
reduce wait time substantially, then that makes sense.
Now, wait time at the VA hospital? No, that's
Well,
a different
no,
story.
I get that.
No, I can't
All right,
track that. So.
But in the things that we can provide, if we can show
Sure.
shorter wait times, a greater percentage of success in accessing benefits, a greater number of people having getting involved with the benefits they're entitled to. Those are the things that are tangible, I guess, at least to me.
Okay.
And those things, that sounds like those are a plan to get there. You're putting more people in the place, and you're doing more outreach, and you've sounds like a plan to get there. It'd just be great to be able to measure it and what the results were in the end.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
If I might, as the chairman of the commission,
Thank you, Commissioner Drillette. Pat, can you step up to the microphone, please?
one of the benefits is as we increase employees over there or service officers, that wait time that used to be 6 weeks, 3 months is now down to 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. If you're a veteran who's filing a claim for loss of hearing, 3 weeks might be okay. If you're a veteran who's just been diagnosed with cancer, 3 months could be a life sentence. The idea is to get them in there, get the claims filed, and even when the claims filed and they get their disability, they still have the option of filing for increases in that and appeals. So we need the people in the office to represent these guys and get them taken care of, get their files claimed, their claims filed in a timely manner, and get them the services and the benefits that deserve through their service sooner rather than later because of those cases where they may not have a lot of time. And the widows are in the same boat. We deal with the widows, trying to get them their dependents indemnity compensation if the husband dies from a service-connected disability. We don't want a widow out here living for 6 months with no income because she can't get in the office to see somebody.
So Pat, I guess what I'm getting at is exactly what you explained. It's not as important to me how many case managers there are if it's no improvement in if improvement times don't improve. But if more caseworkers mean that the wait times have been cut in half, that's the number I'm most interested in hearing.
Absolutely.
So to the extent that we can measure that and say, yes, we passed the millage and wait times were cut in half, there's a value. Adding caseworkers is a way to get there, but it's not the value. The value is the service. So thank you for that explanation, because I'm looking for those kind of, what do we get?
And the other benefit, the Veterans Relief Fund that the county oversees, that we oversee.
Right.
Which helps with the gas bills and the electric and the rent and the mortgage.
So a number.
Commissioner, there are a number of things that our veterans services do for our veterans that we sometimes don't hear about as much here in this.
Mr. Chairman, we can fix that
meeting.
by hearing about them.
And that's what we're doing.
Right, and what you've just described there, for example, if I could go back to taxpayers and say the millage went up, but there is a 25% increase in the amount of assistance given for electricity and this and that, the results are easy to explain. If I say the budget increased by X, well, who cares?
Right.
Did it mean anything to
And
anybody?
I've been on the commission for 12 years, 15 years. When I started the relief fund, we would get 4 or 5 requests a year for electric, gas, and it would be $400, $500. That doesn't happen anymore. There's 5 or 6 cases every time we meet or more, and the requests now are for thousands of dollars.
So this, what we hope will happen then, first off, I don't know if we're meeting those needs currently. Are we short of funds in those arenas? And if we are, or if we're not, the new resources available, will help us meet a need that we can't currently keep up with. I guess that's, the question. If we're already meeting the needs, but
We're keeping up with it, and we're trying to be as frugal as we can with the taxpayers' dollars. It's a real hard thing to want to take care of that veteran and want to be frugal with the county dollars. If it was up to me and it was my money personally, every guy who walked through the door that needed help, I would help him.
Yeah.
We have to make those decisions every week when we meet, or every 2 weeks. It's not always an easy task, but if the money's not there, then we definitely can't help.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your latitude and thank you for that. And I guess I'm eager to hear the success stories as a result of the additional resources. And I hope that we're able to compile those in a way that's easy digestible, that people can say, we help more people. Here's how much more people were able to help. So
In the since we started with the millage, we have definitely made improvements over there. Veterans will tell you they're getting better service and that things are better there.
I look forward to that, that we can quantify that so it's easy to explain. I'm not trying to be critical of either of you, frankly. I just want to be able to explain easily what the benefit are to the actual citizen on the street, the veteran on the street.
I think we're going to have to wait until some of the funds actually hit in order to quantify the
Right.
progress that the department is making.
In order to measure what the
And I
progress
think
was.
that we will be able to get the right metrics to show exactly where the funding is improving, the reaction time and so on and so forth for the veterans and veteran services.
Well, I look forward to that, and I'm glad that,
Certainly urge all of you to come and spend a day with us.
Yeah.
well, thank you very much, both of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next on the hit parade is Marv Sauger. Marv.
Yeah, Laura, I just want to ask a question. It won't take that long. Do you have any use, or do you use any county vehicles for the veterans for any purpose? And if so, what is the condition of them?
I do not have any county vehicles. We actually have a vehicle that was provided by DAV, and what happens is it's turned over to the VA. So we have now a VA vehicle. It's, I guess, funded through the VA now. DAV, Disabled American Veterans, purchases the vehicle for our transportation back and forth to the VA hospital, and the VA hospital maintains the vehicle. So they pay the gas, they pay for the maintenance, they pay for the upkeep of the vehicle. The only thing I have to do is provide volunteer drivers. And it's got a big, it's a Ford Flex, and it's got a nice bright neon green that says DAV all over it. So yeah, how you like my driving, called DAV. So, but I don't have any county vehicles.
Okay, so you're satisfied with that type of transportation?
I could use a bigger vehicle, but I am waiting for a bigger vehicle, and that's coming from DAV.
Thank you.
Hopefully it'll be a tracked vehicle. Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Laura. I just have a question regarding the, maybe this was for Steve, but back to the actual budget numbers for a second. You've averaged about, I don't know, around 200,000 in supplies and services for the last couple of years, but we're requested, last year was requested 300 and this year is requested 274. So I'm just wondering what, what we see as an increase for supplies and services coming up this year is.
Which line item is that?
So supplies and services, the budget's going up about $7,000
Well,
from 267 to 274.
Yeah, but it's going up, but however, I mean, right now it's estimated that the full year is 188, the last year was 194, the last year was 204. So I guess I'm just kind of going on an average, even though this year is still estimated, as to why, like the actual used in 15, 16, and estimated for 18 or 17 is all around 200,000, but we're still put, 274,000 in. Is there a?
Fund. Okay, that includes our fund.
That includes
So
what? I'm sorry, what?
That includes our special need fund, our fund that we use to pay for emergent needs of veterans. So that fluctuates. I believe that includes that fund. Correct? It falls under that category.
So of that 274, as I mentioned earlier, we've got about 115,000 in burial allowance and another 120,000 in the special needs fund or their emergent needs. So we're putting an estimate, and Laura's putting an estimate of what they need. If they don't spend it, it goes right into
rolls
the
back
fund
in.
balance. Again, the general fund doesn't contribute any money to this
Right.
program. It's all funded through a tax
Yes.
levy.
That's right. I just
Okay.
wanted to see what
Yeah.
you saw was the,
Yeah.
the increase this year, and to just see more of those type of.
It goes up and down every year
All right.
based
Thank
on the emergent need. I can't
No.
put a cap on him. I mean, on the Veterans Commission when they hear their cases.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Just to clarify with respect to the budget and the increases, you give us a quarterly report.
Yes, ma'am.
And in that quarterly report, you track new cases for different things. You also track the amount of money that has come in from previous cases, so you see, actually quantifiably, you see whether or not that goes up or down, correct?
The awards.
Right.
Right, so that's a measurement, because you're also tracking the number of veterans, so that in and of itself is a measurement as to, okay, the taxpayers are paying this much more, but this much more has come into the county because of that increase. So I would think once everybody gets used to those quarterly reports, it might be easier to understand the benefit of the extra. Would you
Right.
agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Brown?
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Easy.
Talk about the bus. There was a time when the VA, our Veterans Office, had a problem transporting people down to the VA hospital. And so SMART stepped in and provided some bus service for us because we wanted them to, because people in the north end didn't use SMART bus as much, and I had many constituents who were having a hard time getting down there. So we found a way to get them down here, and then they were routed from here down there, and I thought SMART was helping us do that. Are they still helping us bring people from the north end down here? And then I thought they were carrying the next leg down to Detroit, and if they aren't, we got to figure that. We can probably fix that pretty quick with a few calls to some people, I would think.
Okay, about 15 years ago, we had a contract, I believe, with Macomb Community Action to provide transportation to the VA hospital. Provide transportation to the VA hospital.
Yes.
One of our pickup locations for our transportation is at the VFW at 24 and Van Dyke. The one thing that we can't do is we can't pick up. Because this is a government vehicle provided by the VA, we cannot pick up anybody from their home. They have to make it to a pickup location. So when it comes into, well, I can't get this person to the pickup location, or they have oxygen, they can't ride in that car. If they are in a wheelchair, they can't ride in that car. So they have some they can't take a caregiver in that car. So they have very specific rules on who can ride and how you ride. So if that falls, and they can't take that transportation. I've driven a veteran to the hospital. Pat Daniels has driven a veteran to the hospital.
It has to be a government vehicle, though, you said, or they can't. I'm not, what's the,
Well, SMART, I have talked to SMART. SMART has, we've talked to Fred from SMART,
Yeah.
and we've had a nice conversation with him.
well, he's a nice guy, but did we get results? I mean, that's the,
Well, they can't take them from their door. They can take them from their door to our pickup location.
Right.
That they can do.
but they can't take him from all the way down?
But if the veteran is on oxygen or in a wheelchair, they can't go on my transportation because the VA won't allow it.
And,
Because we have volunteer drivers.
well, that's not,
So that's one of their rules.
well, that rule probably needs to be changed, it sounds like. To me, it doesn't seem to make much sense as to why they're doing it, but I don't fully understand that, but we'll hold that up. But I think that's an area, I'd like to help with, if we need to look into VA rules about why we can't do certain things that make sense. I mean, I've got, crippled up veterans up there that had issues, and I thought they were being handled. I haven't heard too many complaints recently, but if they can't.
If you do get a complaint, please let me know.
I do, I call.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
because I'm trying to fix the transportation problem.
All right, well-
And one thing that we did do a few months ago is make a flow chart for transportation and identified every single free service, SMART service, VA service, and also the VA. If they're service connected and in a wheelchair, and they're more than 30% service connected, the VA will go get them and bring them door to door
Okay,
and pay for that.
Okay.
So, but there's all these little, and if this happens, then B can happen.
Okay.
But there's too many moving parts with it, so it's very hard to fit everybody.
You're the manager of the department, you're the director of the department. How much caseload are you working with? I mean, you should be, when you mentioned you're in the courts doing casework, like little flag went up, I'm like, what do you, how much time are you spending doing that? And
Okay, so
I know you're the only one that can do it.
no. So basically, when I was a service officer, I saw veterans every day, and then I became the director. I did not see any new veterans after I became the director. So the cases that I still have are the cases that are in appeal from 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, the one
all right.
from today is from 2011 that I started in 2010.
So you're not spending a lot of time in the courts then, really?
Well,
How many-
I don't
how-
want to give that case up because
Well,
that's the case I
understand that.
started.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
want you to either, because that continuity is
Yeah.
important to the person.
It takes 15 minutes in front of the judge.
Okay.
That's it.
Figures.
And I've never lost a case either. I'm just saying.
And maybe
We're good.
getting back to that emergent appeals with that budget number that Chairman Smith was asking about, maybe we need to break that out into line items, individual line items, and lump them together. I think that might help provide some clarity, you know, in the future, so we don't have.
I just had a widow awarded over 100,000. So
Awesome, that's great.
she waited since 2010.
Excellent.
But, you know,
Perfect.
why did she have to wait though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Last on the list is Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm echoing some of the sentiments of some of the other commissioners. I'll start with what Commissioner Brown said. You know, the line item would certainly help. And I'm going to start off, when Steve came up to present this, he said the big change would be supplies and services, and he mentioned the two numbers, 115 and 120. And of course, Chairman Smith was concerned about why did supplies and services go up in your expenditures. And the problem we have as commissioners is, see, we see supplies and services, but we don't have below that
breakdown.
category a breakdown of what that is. Now, if that's like what Mr. Daniels is saying, that you're going to give people help with electrical issues and other issues, that would certainly make us feel better when we see that number go up. Because we know, going along with what Commissioner Drolet said, that this is what the millage was passed for. We're increasing this expenditure because we're able to get more services to vets. That's a quantifiable thing that we can go back to our constituents and say, yeah, supplies and services went up, but that's not pencils or desks or computer software. That's actual services to vets. So I guess maybe the question's to you, Mr. Chair. I know we sent an email, and I know we are trying to request some of this line item breakdown on some of these things. It would certainly help us out. Where are we on that?
We're working on it. We'll talk about it.
Okay. One last question, too. When you give us your quarterly reports, and I know you gave us one recently, the supplies and services, last time I looked at your quarterly report, it was a lot of contacts. I remember different contacts and stuff like that. Could there or is there a breakdown of those services that are provided? So in other words, if I add up your quarterly reports, I would see $274,950 spent more or less on services. Would I see that in your reports?
Well, actually, in the quarterly report, what we have broken down is how many burials we paid, and that's how many we paid
Yep.
per quarter. And then we also have, then we have another breakdown on how many veterans came to the trust fund or the relief fund. So that is a
Okay.
breakdown. But I don't think we broke down that category into dollar value.
Okay.
So I can add the dollar value to that.
Well, at least in a
I
sense.
do at the end. I do at the end of the year in the remarks
on the final
section.
quarterly report. Okay, that's fine. I just want to keep track, like Mr. Daniels says. I mean, if you're helping out folks with electrical bills and stuff like that, veterans coming into you, we like to keep track on how much is being spent on that. And it's easier if we have some type of line item on that than just seeing it as supplies and services. All right. All right. Thank you.
Got it.
Fair
Thank
enough.
you, Mr. Chair.
Chair is still waiting for a motion to receive and file. We have a motion by Lucido, support by Kleinfeld. Chairman, Commissioner Toko.
Thank you. Laura, can you just go over your capital outlay item and what's expected for next year?
Capital outlay. I'd have to get back with you,
Okay.
because off the top of my head, it's 14,000. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what it is for.
Okay, if you could let us know. Thank you.
Commissioner Kleinfeld? No. On second round? Okay, we have anyone else wishing to speak, since this machine is really starting to get on my nerves. We have a motion and support to receive and file. All in favor?
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Can you vote, please? Thank you. Welcome to the new millennium. Press a button and lose your mind.